You know those pictures where you see one of two things? It's called an ambiguous picture. It's usually a face and a silhouette and then a tree or something different, right? And depending on how you see it, you can see one of two images. That's kind of how I like to describe shooters and non-shooters, or shooters versus slashers, or non-shooters in basketball. It's like, what image do you see when you get the ball? Do you see the shot, or do you see something else? Now, Kavon Looney is in another contract season. It feels like his contract seasons come up quite often, right? That he never gets the long contract because of various reasons of being with the organization, right? But the last time we saw contract Kavon was that 22 championship season. One of his better seasons, in my opinion. Would he have the 22 rebounds in the closeout game against Memphis, some big games against the Mavericks? And I was arguing with somebody on Twitter. I was like, or someone had asked the question. They were like, who was the third best player on that championship team, right? You got Steph, and a lot of people want to give Wiggs credit as number 2. And I was like, dang, to be honest, you might throw around Looney's name in that playoff run. We're talking about the playoff run of the championship. Someone pushed back Jordan Poole, and, the way I remember it is the further we got along in those playoffs, the less we saw of Jordan Poole. But this isn't about Jordan Poole. It's about contract Kavon. And surprise, surprise, we've seen photos of him working out, and he looks to be in as good a shape as we've ever seen. But I think the interesting thing is what he said to Scoop Jackson in an interview a week or so ago. Let me give you the quotes. Not only has the new look Looney been focusing on his body, the big man's goal is to have his play match on the court. Quote, "I'm going to shoot the ball a lot more," said Looney. "It's something that I've been practicing for years, but now it's time for me to shoot threes, shoot mid-ranges. Steve wanted me to improve in that area, so I've been shooting a lot of shots and feeling good about my game, and so it's going to be a lot of surprises next year." Now, we've seen Loon work on his shot pretty much his entire career in the offseason. Rico Hines, those runs, and you're like, dang, Looney's jumper, it passes the eye test, right? But again, back to the ambiguous pictures. What do you see? What eye does Looney see? Does he see the shot? And it starts far sooner than in the NBA, right? Like once you see one image, it's hard to see that second image. You're going to see that first image first every time, right? That usually starts 10, 12 years old, to be honest with you. After you've been playing for a couple years, you start to develop who you are as a player. And it's like, do you see shot or do you not see shot? And so we all know mechanically Looney is perfectly capable of knocking down mid-rangers and knocking down threes. We can all see that. The question is, can he see the image, right? It's a mindset. And what I think Looney's advantage is that you remember that when we found this out like a couple years into Looney's career, he wouldn't let nobody know about it, right? But someone dug up some high school mixtapes of Loon in Milwaukee, right? And it was like the next KD. And so then they asked him about it. KD was on the team at the time, and he's like, yeah, they did used to call me that, like in Milwaukee and whatnot. Mind you, that was before the hip surgeries. But my point is, at a younger age, there was a time in Looney's career where he did see shot in the picture, right? And so maybe it won't be as hard for him to start to see that shot again and want to take it, right? Now, I was looking at examples of players who didn't shoot threes and then late in their career started to take them. And the two best ones I could find, Brook Lopez, his final year in Brooklyn was in year 8 of his career. We all know how prolific he is now. Now, I don't think Looney's going to ever take that many, right? And then there was Big Valanciunas, Jonas Valanciunas. It wasn't until like year 10 that he started taking the three, and that's probably a more realistic volume for Looney, right? But what I would say is if I'm Steve Kerr, because I used to do this when I was coaching, if I had a kid and I was trying to encourage him to shoot the ball more, I would deliberately try to get a play or a couple plays where he was going to get a shot, and I made no, like, we want you to take this shot. We're going to draw this up. You're in the corner. If it comes to you, we want you to take it. Now, I don't really care if you make it. I just want the defense to know you're going to take it. And that way I would take the pressure off the kid from making it. But I also was like, hey, catch it and shoot it. I don't want you thinking, I don't want you shooting. No, you're shooting it. We're taking the hesitation out of it, right? And I think Steve could help Looney initially by doing something like that. 1 or 2 sets a game where it's like, Loon, we're not like, it's not option B for you. It's option A. We want you to turn and take that midi, or we want you pulling that corner 3. We don't care if you make it. We need to show that look to space the floor. And then eventually, hopefully what that would do is build Looney's confidence to where he starts seeing the picture. There's a fake handoff. They're sagging way off on drop coverage. He just pivots and pops, right? But I think if you're the coaching staff, you got to guide that along a little bit by deliberately having him take some shots. Not a ton, right? 1, 2, 3s a game. But again, I think he's perfectly capable of it. And I expect him to be, a monster on the glass when he gets in there. Right? If we have Quentin Post, Trace Jackson year 2, it'll be interesting to see because, the last, I'd say since the 20 season, since, KD left, right? Not that they play the same position, but Looney's minutes have been kind of carved in stone, etched in stone, right? He's always, been the kind of the staple. And then they went away from it towards the end of last season, for various reasons. So he's not only motivated contract-wise, but he's going to have to fight for his minutes. And so maybe that's a part of him adding this wrinkle to his game. And as far as like how and where would it look like, again, I imagine in the handoff game, right? Or even in a split action where he's out and they're just way off him and the defense is completely paying attention to the screeners and cutters, him just turning, pivoting, and popping. And then maybe that signature trail 3 that you see so many big men take. But yeah, I would imagine off fake handoffs where he's kind of set and he can just pivot and take it. But then eventually maybe even the corners and spread it out to the corner because, yeah, I think it's very possible with Kavon when you look at his course, who he is, what the shot looks like, and maybe most importantly, the timing right now in his career and where the Warriors are at. Because when you look at Valanciunas, you look at Lopez, I think the common trait that I saw was it was a time where their team, there was a change in what was going on with the organization, and it was the last year. Either they were on their way out or there was some sort of extra motivation and environment. Because the reality is, man, both Draymond and Kavon have sacrificed the development of their offensive game for the betterment of the team. Now, I'm not saying that Draymond was ever going to be a 20-point per game scorer or Looney, right? But playing with the Splash Brothers, playing with KD, right? They had to focus on other things. It wasn't as needed. And so this new environment that it looks like the Warriors are building, not brand new, right? But you've heard Kerr himself say, like, we're going to really look to make some changes. They've changed the staff. And so I think this new environment also will probably nudge Looney to be more confident in taking that shot. But yeah, man, I'm excited for Loon, one of my favorite players. And hopefully, he gets the opportunity to shine this year. Underdog Fantasy. You see the link in the description. You can use the code Alchemy, get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. They've got specials almost every day of the week. They've really been going crazy with the specials and bonuses. Thursday night football, Buffalo, Miami, division rivals. And Buffalo, both these teams get in so many shootouts. My pick, Josh Allen, higher than half an interception. Tua higher than half an interception. So I think both of them are going to throw picks. But, modestly conservative with the NFL ones. But again, play along, support the channel. And as we get into some WNBA playoffs and picks there, as well as, the NBA, that's going to be the core of it. But I did really well last year. So play along and support the channel. That's Underdog Fantasy. I will be back. I want to let y'all know, I get it. I see the comments. It must be a slow day. Like, oh no, like, y'all gotta cut me a little bit of slack here. Like we're in, this is, the absolute driest part of the year as far as NBA content goes. So I got to get a little more creative and maybe talk about things that I wouldn't focus on during the year. You guys know, if you've been with the channel for a while, like I like to talk actual basketball, what's happened on the court game to game. And so of course I want to get to that. But for this next month or so until preseason, I'll get creative and I got some stuff planned moving forward. So stay tuned. And hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.